Welcome to the inaugural Innovate Guam podcast. I'm your host, Rob, the Innovation Coach Jackson. I'm a retired Air Force colonel and am currently president and CEO of the Most Services, a Guam-based business and technology consulting firm. You can read my column, Innovate, on the first and third Fridays of each month on the Pacific Daily News' website, guampdn.com. All right. My guest for today's podcast is a true leader, innovator, technologist, logistician, entrepreneur, teacher, and yes, community activist. He is president and co-founder of Bella Wings Aviation, a drone technology company on the island of Guam. He is the current president of the Guam Association for Career Technical Education, a chapter of the largest not-for-profit association dedicated for advancing education that prepares youth and adults for successful careers. He is a University of Guam adjunct faculty member where he teaches courses on business, logistics, leadership, and entrepreneurship. He is the member of countless community organizations and local government commissions, committees, and task forces. But in addition to all of those before mentioned wonderful accolades, Charlie is first and foremost a friend. I tell you, from the first time we met, we were on the same wavelength. I like to joke that Charlie is my brother from another mother. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Charlie Hermosa. How you doing, man?
Oh, Rob, thank you so much. And you're right. I think that, the most important thing about everything you just said was the fact that we are friends, and the connections that we have is just unbelievable. And I really do appreciate, and I'm honored to be on your first podcast. And, one of the things that I also wanted to mention was the most proudest thing that I'm actually obviously from all the involvement from a leadership perspective, but the most important thing as a leader that I face today is I'm also a father of a young 6-year-old girl, which to me is the most important thing in my life right now. So that to me is really important. I wish I could put that on the resume somehow so it makes sense for everybody. But yeah, to me, it's very important, and I really do, and I'm honored to be your first guest.
Thank you so much. Are you ready to get into it?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, as you know, here on the IG podcast, we're going to start off with a tradition. And before we get into the meat of the discussion, I want to know where your head is at with respect to innovation and technology. So I've got a set of 3 questions. My first question. What is your definition of innovation, and what does innovation mean to you?
That's always a great question, because innovation, it can mean so many different things to so many different people. The way that I read on innovation is being able to tackle a problem and find a solution, but the solution may not necessarily have to be creating everything from scratch. So, one of the things that I always try to promote is the fact that the founder of the paperclip was an innovator. He solved the problem. He wanted to keep papers together. And so he came up with a way to be able to do it. And so how dynamic and how simple, but so innovative. So when I promote innovation, it doesn't have to be the fact that you are going to find a cure for something. It's a fact that you can take a problem, find a solution, and probably utilize something that's out there, but you're going to make it a little bit better. So to me, innovation is being able to create solutions for problems that are happening with things that are actually in front of us today. Maybe making things a little bit better. The other one, and Rob, you may know this, is the what do they call it? The spork. It's the spoon and fork, right?
Yes.
Right?
Shout out to KFC.
Unbelievable, right? Very innovative. Taking a spoon and a fork, making them one. You lessen the amount of things that you utilize to be able to eat. And so those are things that are very, in my mind, are very innovative. The other one that I try to promote as well is back in the day, and I'm probably dating everybody, but back in the day, when I wanted to make sure that I remembered things, we had our desktop computers, and I would take a little piece of paper and put a little piece of tape and put it all the way around the computer, right? And that
Mm,
I would take it one by one as tasks. Then somebody came up with the sticky pad. How
yes,
amazing is that, right? I mean, being
yes.
able to take a problem and come up with a solution, and it was very simple. So again, what I like to promote is being able to do that. Take a problem, come up with a solution, and then innovate in along the way. And it doesn't have to be, with the fundamentals of being able to find a cure for something, or engineering. It can be something so simple as the paperclip.
So, Charlie, I really enjoyed your definition. And what I appreciate most about your definition is that you're not one of these guys who kind of puts innovation in a different category. There's some people who put problem solving, process improvement, and innovation into three separate categories, saying, well, no, that's not really innovation. That's just incremental process improvement, or that's just problem solving. I like the fact that you kind of blend all of that together.
No, no, absolutely. And for me, that's the way that I like looking at it, because it gives us the ability not to overthink things. And what that is a good way for us to be able to come up with potential solutions to problems. And if we overthink it, we may miss out on coming up with a simple and logical solution. And I want to be able to have folks and people realize that, it's something that I've read and I've heard in the past. Steve Jobs, he said it very well. The fact that the inventors of everything that has been invented throughout the world, they were no smarter than we were. But it's the
Mhm.
fact that they were able to really put that mindset on coming up with a solution to a problem. And if you do that, don't overthink it. Remember the paperclip. Think of the paperclip.
or
Don't
or
overthink,
whiteout
and you'll be able
created
to come
by
to the
the
solution.
secretary.
Or whiteout.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
again, remember, coming up with ways to be able to solve problems. And if you want to scale up from the paperclip, I mean, you can look at so many other innovative ideas that have come up from, the Uber turning up the taxi industry upside down, because that was an issue, that was a problem. And so you can go down the chain as far as innovative companies that have been formed in the last 5 to 10 years, 15 years, and they've all been formed to solve a problem.
Absolutely. So we talked about a lot there and got into really my second and third questions. But just for the record, I'd like to get you on record on telling me what is your favorite innovation or piece of technology of the last 5 years and why?
No, that's a great question. There's so many things that I feel that have been so innovative. And again, to me, I find things like the paperclip so innovating, because it really allows me to think that if you put your mindset, if you put yourself in that position on the inventor, or the person that was trying to come up with the solution to being able to keep papers together. What was that process? How was that process? And what were the steps that they took to be able to come up with this innovative idea of the paperclip? So to me, AI has really taken
Mhm.
a different meaning. And you have seen the evolution of AI really transform, because um, the way you could also look at AI is, and it's one of the things that Google has been asked, because the Google search, right? Let me Google this, and you would go into Google and you would ask Google,
Yes.
what is the capital of a certain state? Well, now we're doing the same thing, but the AI machine is really the one that's processing the question and producing the answer. So AI for me has been it's been a process, it's been a transformation process. But you have a voice AI, which we've always been using, but now we're enhancing it, which is Siri. Siri, for the most part, was the initial onset of voice AI. When you look at text AI, we look at Google search, but now we have ChatGPT. And so I think that the evolution of AI is really going to transform the way we process information and the way that we process data, because for what it's worth, and we need to make sure that we're not afraid of it. But unfortunately, it is a word that we need to use. Unfortunately, the machine can process information a lot faster than we can. But if we utilize that to the best of our ability, we'll be able to manage the outputs that these machines are going to give us. And if we are able to manage these outputs, I mean, sky's the limit on what we can do in the future and business innovation.
Absolutely. And the thing that I love about AI is way it can give back such a deeper and broader, more robust packaging of the information. And you were talking about the transition from when you were just doing basic Google searches or whatever, and now it can come back to you like a report, like an essay, packaged in all kind of very robust pieces.
No, absolutely. And it's not just the fact that and that is just a subset of AI, because the true dynamics of what AI is going to represent is endless. And it really just comes down to one thing, and that's data. We have so much data. Everything that we do has a data collection set that we could potentially group into different subsets that would allow us to predict things that we normally would not have been able to predict within hours or days. If we take those data sets and put them into an algorithm that the AI that we create, I mean, we can create algorithms and we can create different AI subsets that would allow us to predict things based on data sets that we feed it. So the
Yes,
AI systems still need to get trained, and that's the most important. So to me, it's really going to allow us to be able to manage the outputs in so many different ways and so much faster. So we're going to be able to come up and make stronger and harder decisions quicker, which is going to be it's going to be great when it's utilized in the business sense, but also in government, and hopefully one day government can accept those things.
absolutely. All right, moving on to the third question, and that is really, what is your most surprising innovation or piece of technology, i.e., something that, was a piece of innovation or piece of technology that you thought was strange or maybe even stupid when it first came out, but now you think it's the greatest thing in the world?
That's a good question. And and to be honest, I mean, to be fair, I think that when you frame it up in that way, I never liked the wireless headphones. I always felt like I needed to have it connected, and it took me a while to actually get these these iPods, or the earpods, and it took me a while to get them, because for a long time I needed to have that connection. I still have them with me right now, but so for a little while, I thought that it was a little bit you know, whether you couldn't hear me, whether there was too much static, what happens if I'm too far away. I mean, there was a lot of unknowns that I had. But again, as you continue to utilize it, as you continue to test it, you start to see the dynamics. And there's some things that are good and some things that are bad. Things that are bad is that if you don't charge them, they die, right? I mean, so that's
Right.
that's not good, right? And so those are some of the things that you need to be able to sort of ingrain as part of your overall things that you do every day. So making sure that your earpods are connected and hopefully charged. And that took me a little while. So I would say that in the beginning, I thought that there was a little bit far off, but now it's unbelievable that what the future is going to hold for these. I actually ended up getting the sunglasses that have those capabilities as well.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
put on the sunglasses. It's connected to my iPhone, and I'm able to listen to music and make phone calls and have conversations. It's just unbelievable.
Outstanding. Yeah, I'll tell you, my piece of technology was this, the iPad. I thought when the iPad first came out, it's like, wait a minute, it just does what an iPhone does, but it's just bigger. What is this? What's the
Right,
value add here? But
right, exactly.
you see all of the different applications that really in that sweet spot for the size of a tablet, particularly in industry and operational kinds of concerns, where the tablet is the right size, better than a computer, even better than a laptop, to be able to for workers to use to process and input and extract data.
Right. No, no, exactly, exactly. And so, you know, we have to be able to work through those, you know, those issues or those the things that we think may not be working. And once we start utilizing them and you see how they work, then you start, you know, having better decision making on whether you're going to go big or you're going to go with bigger earpods or, you know, the newer generations and so forth. But it you have to be able to at least try it. I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things that we must do.
Yes, constantly, iteratively experimenting.
Correct.
All right, outstanding.
Correct.
Let's get into the meat of our IG discussion here. So, here at the IG podcast, we are passionately focused on innovation, technology, and economic development. More specifically, we are interested in Guam's innovation, technology, and economic development. So, with the coming technological explosion of the fourth industrial revolution, um, we want to explore what is needed for Guam to succeed in this new and coming era. And we want to look at it and explore it from three different facets. First, we want to look at it from a workforce development standpoint, i.e., what initiatives are needed or what initiatives are in work to prepare Guam's workforce for the coming technological transformation. Second facet, technology development and deployment. So that gets into what specific technologies are needed to improve Guam's quality of life and or solve local problems. And then the third facet really is about government policies and initiatives that help us enable the first two things that we talked about. So, with that said, I think that you are uniquely qualified to really talk about it from each one of those three aspects. Uh, so, I want to start off for workforce development. What initiatives do you see are needed here on Guam to prepare Guam's workforce for the fourth industrial revolution?
No, absolutely. And one of the things that I've had the honor to do is to not only had the opportunity to do outreach programs with a lot of the schools throughout Guam because of the drone business that we have, the drone industry that we've been developing, but also I've had the opportunity to be an adjunct professor at the University of Guam. That has been able to is giving me the ability to see a lot of what the future talent looks like. And let me just tell you, we have amazing and bright students going through the ranks. Our next generation of leaders are absolutely going to be great. They have tools that
I,
we didn't have before, and I'm a firm believer, and I will challenge anybody that will tell me that we do not have the workforce to be able to be in a position to compete with the world. Now, having said that, the one thing that we need to do is understand exactly what are, you know, what is this picture? What is this movie going to look like 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now for Guam? And that is very important because every every country, every area, every region is different. And so one box does not fit all. And so
mm,
when we look at our box, we have to really take the things that we are very strong at and see exactly how we can develop that. What's that going to look like 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? So what can we do that would allow us to position ourselves to be right in the running with the entire world? Well, One of the biggest things that we have is the resiliency, right? So
Mm,
our people are able to, our community is able to, get hit with a 200 mile per hour typhoon,
yes,
no internet, get everything knocked down, and in a second we're able to get back up, or we're innovating on coming up with solutions to be able to go to the bathroom, get water, get food. I mean, you name it, get power, all those things. So the resiliency is very important because that plays in a very integral part on the future industries that we can develop here on Guam. And so when we start looking at future industries and the development of the future talent, I think one of the biggest things that we need to really focus on is the tech industry. Because
mm,
when you look at the tech industry, a lot of the learning, we can teach our people, we can teach our students in ways that we could not do that before. So when we, like, for example, when we talk about manufacturing in the tech industry, it's not this hot warehouse, where folks are sweating, putting in gadgets together, or soldering, circuit boards. No, that has nothing to do with that. I mean, right now we're
fundamentally,
looking at the what
fundamentally changed.
has
The fact that
fundamentally changed. We have 3D printing, right? Everything that we're doing is autonomous. We have, with the balance between human and machine, we're able to manufacture a lot of things that weren't able to do before on the tech side. So learning is very important. So we need to believe first and foremost that we can do it. That's number one. Number two is really box out exactly what industries we want to be able to pursue on the tech side. Because when we talk about manufacturing, we should not shy away. We should really go after the manufacturing when it comes to tech products. We should be able to do them here. We're able to skill and teach our future and our future workforce to be able to get into those industries. It's completely different from what it was before. So we can train our people to be able to do that. And one of the last summits that we had a very great discussion with an engineer who said that he was taking folks that were not technically engineers, but they were teaching them engineer skills and
mm,
allowing them to be able to produce engineering things, but they were not engineers, but they were doing everything that an engineer would. So, but again, so we shouldn't limit ourselves to be able to, say that, well, we don't have enough engineers. No, we can train them. We can train them. The workforce development can be trained. So we can't shy away from going after tech companies for them to establish here. We have a great, and again, I have to emphasize the fact that I am confident that our next generation is ready to step up and really fill in those gaps when it comes to workforce development, when it comes to manufacturing, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to innovative health, thinking, when it comes to entrepreneurship, and really creating these jobs and creating companies that are really going to complement what we do today here on Guam. So, but
absolutely.
it really comes down to having a vision. It really comes down to having a vision, Rob.
Absolutely. And I get so excited to hear you say all of that because I agree with you 100%. Now, would you like to share any of the specific initiatives that maybe you're working? Like I mentioned before, you are the president of the Guam CTE chapter. So, what kinds of initiatives are you all posturing the workforce of the future? To get ready for this?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and one of the things that we're trying to do is really push along the momentum that we've had in the last several weeks when we had that conference, a 3-day conference. That 3-day conference was absolutely phenomenal. It was amazing to see not only our corporate partners, but it was
Mm.
also amazing to see our teachers come out. So the one of the things that we're
Talk
trying
a
to do
little
is
bit about.
really.
I don't know if all of the viewers are familiar with the conference. I was there, obviously, but talk a little bit about that and the importance of that, and what the demographic of the folks that were a part of that.
Yeah, so we wanted to be able to bridge that gap. That's sort of the theme that we have this year. We want to be able to bridge the gap between our business partners, the business community, and our teachers, because for those who are in a business setting, we have the ability to go out and socialize, network, exchange business cards, but the teachers don't. The teachers are
Yeah.
ingrained making sure that they're, teaching our students, and they have certain curriculums. But one of the things that we want to make sure that the teachers know and understand is, what does the workforce look like? What
Yeah.
what are what are some of the things that these business partners are looking for in the students, so that they can go back to the classroom and say, do you know what? I met a telecom company this weekend, and they told me that they're looking for X type of character. And one of the things that was just absolutely, it was like the soft skills were coming up over and over again. And those are some of the things that we can't neglect. We have to go back and ensure, as much high tech as we are, the one things that we should not forget are the soft skills. So one of the things that you heard from a lot of the business partners were, listen, yeah, one of the biggest things that we're looking for in the hiring process is somebody that can show up on time.
Mm.
As easy as that, Rob, as easy as that. And so they're like, we can train that individual to ensure that they know exactly what we do and how to do it. But for them to have the fundamentals on being able to show up on time is very critical and very important. As easy as that. I mean, that was what was very evident on the discussions that we had between the business partners and the teachers. And the teachers were very, they got it. And they were able, at the end of the conference, they were like, I'm going to take this back to my students and make them understand how important, how critical it is. Like, when the bell rings, everybody should be in class and ready to go. You're not coming in 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, because you start building those bad practices, and they're going to carry over into your career. And the one
Yeah.
thing that the business partners are saying is, hey, listen, if there's one thing that I need from you, is I need for you to show up on time. So that to me was so over. I mean, it was amazing to see that, something as simple as that. But beyond that, we want to be able to show the teachers, and the demographics of who attended the 3 day conference was, thank you to GDOE, because they really sponsored the teachers, gave them the time to be able to come out and listen to our guest panelists. But the
Yes.
focus is really for them to understand what are the needs in the current economic market, and for them to be able to hear it straight from the industry partners and the business partners was very important. They exchanged cards, they exchanged numbers. So now, if there's a teacher that needs somebody from the telecom, somebody that needs from power, somebody that they need from any type of industry, now they have them in their contact list, and they can contact them to do a presentation to the students, do a presentation during the year, and so forth. So to us, that connection, that bridge, that network was very important for us to be able to put out there to all the teachers, who are really the ones that are going to get our students ready for the next evolution.
Yeah, I thought that was amazing, and I actually was personally affected by it. On the 4th of April, a counselor from Okadu Middle School reached out to me about coming in to be a speaker
Yes.
for their career day. So, I mean, again, it's already paying dividends, and pulling people in and continuing that partnership between the business community and our educators, because I think that's so important.
No, absolutely. And we can't stop. And Rob, thank you so much for, giving your card out, and taking that phone call and accepting that invitation, because that is what we need to continue to do. Because, we can't do this alone. We got to be able to really reach deep into our community, our schools. I mean, we can't expect to start pulling our next generation when they are reaching 15, 16, 17 years. We got to start much early. We got to
Yes.
get them at year 4, 5, 6. Get them excited, because one of the things that I also want to be able to promote, and it's a selfish thing for me, and one of the things that I try to do is, everything that I do, I ask and I promise that all my students that I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to be successful in logistics and supply chain. But the one thing that I want you to do is, please just give me a shot and do not leave the island. Give me a
Mm,
shot. Give us a
yes.
shot. Give Guam a
Yes.
shot. When you graduate, give us a shot before you start looking outside. but we have to be able to create a vision as well, because it's
And we
one
got to
thing
have
saying
something to
it.
offer
uh,
them.
exactly, exactly, Rob. But that's 1,000% correct. We have to have something to offer to them.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so I'm going to be drive you to a little bit of specificity here as we go to kind of the second facet, which is technology development and deployment, because you are an entrepreneur out there bringing new tech to the island in the form of your drone technology company. So I thought it was pretty interesting and amazing to me to hear kind of how you uh, developed your use case and value proposition for the drone delivery emerging out of the pandemic, and you saw a broader need, and you saw drone technology as a potential solution for that. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about that, not just for Guam, but also the outer islands.
No, absolutely, and that's exactly the way it happened. One of the things that during the pandemic that we were trying to help out different families throughout the island, and as we took the journey to deliver some of these goods that they were requesting, because they didn't have the means to be able to go out and purchase, because maybe they didn't have any gas or via a running vehicle, and we were on the journey to make these deliveries. One of the things that I try to look at things, and maybe it's a fault of mine, but I look into things and I try to size them up from an efficiency standpoint. And being able to make these deliveries were very deep into the villages. And in my mind, I was saying, well, what happens if this road gets cut off? What happens to all these families that are living deep into these villages? So with that being said, I just couldn't get it out of my head, out of my thinking process. So my co-founder, Perla, she is in the aviation
Shout out
side,
to Perla.
and yep, and she's on the aviation side, and I'm on the logistics supply chain. So we were able to merge these ideas together, and we started really doing research, and we saw the evolution of how drones were really playing an integral part throughout the world, for what it stood at that point. And it's advanced in 4 years. It's advanced so much. It's beyond. Obviously, we've seen it advance in war fighting as well. But when it
Yeah.
comes to everyday life, that's going to become an everyday life thing. We're going to start getting deliveries via drones, and that's going to be an evolution that's going to happen. But when we started also going out to the outer islands, when we started going down to FSM, we started going down to Palau, we started seeing that these outer islands, they also had islands that only had 200, 300 people. And one of the things that we wanted to do was, again, take a look at it and see exactly, are they getting the necessities that they need to be able to live healthy?
Mm,
Or do they have, are they getting health products to be able to survive? Uh, things as easy as Tylenol? Are they getting Tylenol? Are they getting these things that are able to fight diseases? So one of the things that we also saw as those applications is how do we create a network of deliveries to be able to sustain these economic developments within these smaller islands, so that not only can they prosper, but they're also getting the necessities to be able to live there and prosper. And so to
yeah.
us, that was a huge, huge thing. And so that's been going on it's been evolving because the technologies continue to evolve. Working with, a good friend, our good friend, Bob Kelly, and, he's been wanting to really, he's been, from the day that we started talking about drones as well. I mean, he's been thinking about these drones that are coming in line. They're definitely coming in line, but they almost look like container size type drones where they can carry thousands and thousands of pounds for delivery, and it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. But in the short term, we wanted to be able to understand the infrastructure that we needed to create in order to move forward. One of the things that we quickly saw about developing these initiatives with the drone industry was the fact that we didn't have enough, not a lot of pilots were certified. So we've been going out and certifying pilots. The one thing that I do want to mention as well, Rob, is that I'm also the CEO of a company called EcoFly. And EcoFly and Bella Wings Aviation has come together. And so the dynamics of what EcoFly brings to the table is absolutely amazing because they have and we have one of the best Part 107 FAA certification programs in the region. So we've been
Mm,
training a lot of pilots, and then the what they EcoFly and what we do also is we cater to the construction industry as well. So that's another aspect of like the information, the data sets, the lidar, topographic, photogrammetry, orthomosaic. I mean, everything that's involved in the construction industry that was being done manually or the utilization of helicopters and planes. Well, we're doing them with drones now, and that has completely changed the dynamics of being able to collect these data sets. So again, the evolution of the drone industry is really moving forward. One day, I will tell you that we will have drones that move people. They're being developed. The
mm,
infrastructure, but the one thing that I wanted to focus on, going back to being able to get more pilots, is getting the communities to understand that this is the direction that we're going to move forward in the most efficient way. Because at some point, it's not only going to be drones that are be making deliveries to all these different islands, but we're also going to be transporting people utilizing drones as well. These drone pods that are coming in line. So imagine, for us to take, it takes us 35 to 40 minutes to drive down south. If there's an emergency, we send a drone pod, we pick up the patient, we can fly back to GMH or GRMC or the Naval Hospital within 5 to 10 minutes via
yeah,
air. So
yeah, I
that
really
is
like
sort of.
that idea. I really like that idea. I know Bob Kelly is very passionate about that, but that is a very great use of technology to solve a real world specific Guam problem about how do you get to one side of the island to the other in a case of emergency so that you can stabilize a patient and get that patient to follow on care. And, the idea of even a one person um, uh, drone to be able
Transport,
to
yeah.
fly an EMS technician out so to stabilize the patient, put the patient onto the drone, fly the patient back to GMH within would it be 5 or 10 minutes really, where if you were trying to do it over the roads it might be 20, 25 minutes in order to do that and then have them land and receive their follow-on care. I think that's a great model there.
No, absolutely. And with the search and rescue as well, right? Every second counts. The
Yes,
deployment of drones to be able to search people who have gone over uh, the reef or
yes,
that have been lost and hiking. Those type of things. Those use cases are, I mean, they're live and they're ready. I mean, right now we can do them, and it's the utilization of that technology that's going to be able to save lives moving forward. And then the other thing about the drone pods and the ability to be able to move people via drones is the fact that the other part that hopefully, and the one thing that I really concentrated is the being able to bridge all our villages together. And because
yeah,
we still do have families that don't have cars, or they may have one car per family. And so if you live down south or if you live up north and most of the jobs are concentrated in the central part of the island, how can they go to work? Right? I mean, we don't have a good mass transit system. And so to me, that's very important. Anything that would allow us to be able to bridge those gaps, again, bridging those gaps where being able to sustain folks that are very deep in the village and they don't have means to be able to get goods, well, now we can. Being able to transport them, to be able to transport them to they can have jobs in the central area. And if they don't have vehicles, this could be a solution for the problem that we have. And again, going back to your first question of the podcast is, to me, innovation is being able to come up with solutions for problems that we have. And again, it's sky's the limit when we think that way.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, third facet, government policies and initiatives. So I know you were a member of the Gov Guam Chartered Commission on the development of Guam as a transshipment hub. Can you speak to that use case and the value add behind this? Um,
No, absolutely. So the and sometimes whenever you hear the word transshipment, it could kind of throw you off because the reality of what the task force was created to do was to formulate solutions for being able to come up with more economic development industries that could potentially come to Guam. And one of the things that we needed to flush out was the ability to bring in more goods that could potentially be assembled or could be manufactured here on Guam. So it was sort of a transshipment type, hub and spoke type mentality. But it was sort of bringing in raw materials into the island and then exporting finished goods. That was sort of that. But it was also another way to be able to look at making Guam as a first entry point to the U.S. So, bringing the containers, bringing in the air cargo through Guam, clearing it here on the island, and then going out back to the mainland, already cleared customs and so forth. So it gave us another ability to be able to, create and generate economic development within those sources. But the heart of it was to be able to look at different industries that could potentially establish themselves here on Guam, where they could create an export type. So raw materials in, whether it's light assembly or full-on manufacturing, and then exporting the finished product out to the world. And those are the things that we wanted to look at. And it's very promising. Obviously, there was a couple of things that actually it's going through legislation right now is the fact that the 5-year government lease doesn't really work. The 5-year lease
Mm,
does not work. And so one of the things, I mean, there was a proposal for 30 years. There was a proposal for 15 years. Honestly, anything more than 30 years is really good. 50 years would be phenomenal.
yes,
50 years could be the right. I mean,
gotta have
when you
long
look
term.
around the world,
Yeah.
what was that, Rob?
No, I just said that you got to have a long-term lease to make a model or a concept like that work.
Absolutely, very long term, very long term. And so I think right now we're looking at 15 years, which is it's better than 5. And so, but I think they're definitely going to ensure that those 15 years can have the flexibility to extend to more than just 15 years if it goes through the right process. But those are the things. Those were some of the limitations that we had when it came to rules and regulations. Was the fact that it was only 5 years. Also, the fact that is the way that we're structured from a customs perspective. We have a Guam customs and not CBP. That was another point of concern. But those things can be fleshed out. We can work through those things. But I truly feel that, again, when we say that Guam is the closest American land to Asia, we need to treat it that way because we hold so much value. And if you want to look at it now, it's even beyond that because of what's happened with the tariffs. I mean, we should be all over it right now.
Yes,
We should be inviting all these companies to come out and look at Guam and being able to work through the tariff issues with making light manufacturing or making Guam the first entry point, the most useful way of the way we sit as a territory. So that to me is very important.
absolutely. I tell you, Charlie, you're always a wealth of information and insights. And I tell you, today's conversation was absolutely wonderful, as I knew it would be. So thank you so much for helping kick off the inaugural Innovate Guam podcast. This has really been awesome, and I really appreciate you sharing your insights with us.
No, absolutely. And I definitely, as always, I also need, we also need to make sure that we always put a plug in for our veterans, right? So
Yes,
we need to make sure that the skill sets that they bring to the table it's unbelievable. And so we need to make sure that we never forget about that because that's another workforce development that we can really tap into that are ready and very disciplined and ready to go. And so we should never forget and always put attention to making sure that we're supporting all our veterans as well here. And we're bringing back all those veterans back. Let's bring them back here. But again, it goes back to what you and I were just saying is we need to have something for them. We need to have the vision. We need to have that 5, 10, 15, 20-year plan of how Guam is going to look like. And that is very important. If we can really if we can really put that vision out there on how we're going to look like in 15, 20, 25 years, then it's going to make a huge difference, because then people see the roadmap. People see exactly why we are doing the things we're doing, why we're standing up an engineering school at the University of Guam, why we're developing these programs at GCC, why we're having all these other programs with the Trades Academy. It's all part of it. Why we're pushing STEM at the elementary level, at the high school level, why we're pushing certification programs throughout the different facets of industries that we have. It's all part of a bigger picture. We just need to make sure that we paint that picture so that people can actually see exactly what it's going to look like.
Absolutely. And I apologize. I should have added veteran to that long list of accolades. Merchant Marine Academy graduate and United States Marine Corps. So gotta
Semper
love it.
Fi.
That's right. So with that, again, thank you so much, Charlie, for being a part of today's conversation. To my audience, I hope you learned something today. Please watch for the Innovate Guam podcast weekly. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and all your favorite social media platforms. And please read my Innovate column at guampdn.com the first and third Fridays of the month. Until then, see you next time. And remember, no matter whether you're at work, at home, or at play, always innovate. Thank you.